Welcome, grade 5, to WorksheetCloud.com's online lesson. I'm Mrs. Nicole Frank, and you are partaking in an English home language lesson. So, what do you need for this lesson? Well, you can get a pencil or a pen and a page to write down anything you think that might be important during this lesson. You can also just sit there and watch the lesson and see if there's anything maybe that I am saying that helps you. And you can just listen along. If you'd like to shout out the answers, that's great too. But I really hope that you're going to enjoy it and you're going to have fun, but you're also going to learn. So let's get into it. If you have any questions, grade 5s, that is related to this lesson or any of my previous lessons, please address it to grade5@worksheetcloud.com and we will try and get back to you as soon as we can after this lesson. If your parents have any questions about maybe when the next lesson is going to be, etc., please address it to the FAQs on this website. So today we are looking at another part of speech. We are going to be looking at adverbs and adverb types. I hope some of you have an idea of what adverbs are, but if not, by the end of this lesson, I'm pretty sure you will. What are the outcomes for this lesson? So what do I want you to know by the time you have completed all the activities we are going to do in this lesson? I would like you to have understood what an adverb is, to be able to identify an adverb in a sentence, to be able to use an adverb in a sentence, and lastly, to identify the different types of adverbs. So at the end of this lesson, those are the 4 things I would like you to have known. If you do not meet that outcomes, please send us an email so that we can maybe go over it again, or alternatively, watch the video again so maybe it can refresh your mind. So what is an adverb? Let's look at the word adverb. What word in there kind of gives us an idea of what this word could be? Well, it's a describing word. Uh-oh. Isn't that an adjective? Well, adjectives describe nouns, so they aren't the same thing. Adverbs and adjectives are not the same thing. So what do adverbs describe? So here we have the slide that says, what are adverbs? Firstly, adverbs describes or tells us more about verbs, like in their names, adverbs. So it adds to a verb. Great. But I use the word describes just so that you can have an idea that it's going to be telling us a bit more about a verb. However, it can also tell us more about adjectives and other adverbs. The problem with this lesson now and saying that it's going to describe or tell us more about other adverbs is that, well, we first need to find out what adverbs are. So hopefully in this lesson you're going to learn that. There are examples of adverbs on your screen right now, like very, quickly, lovely, and happily. Those are the simple kind of adverbs that you can find in your texts or how people use them every day. So, very is a very popular word that we like to use. And later on, we're going to find out where that adverb fits into the types of adverbs. So, using adverbs, I want us to look at this picture. In the picture, these 3 boys are doing something, and I want us to just look at it for a moment and to see what are they doing and how are they doing it. I'll let you look at it for a little bit. So, look at the picture. the children played. So that is a sentence, right? And it's basically telling us what's happening in the picture. So what else should we be thinking about when we are looking at this picture? How are they playing? Where are they playing? When are they playing? So basically the children played and they are playing there in an area, and they're playing together and they look quite happy. So let's speak about the action which is played, and now we are going to talk about how they are doing that. So how they are playing, where they are playing, when they are playing, and we are going to think about that as we are looking at this picture. So, what words did you come up with when you were looking at that picture and trying to get words to describe it? Not just to describe the whole picture, but to describe the action of the boys in the picture. So, how are the children playing? They look happy, I think. So, I feel like they're happily playing. Excitedly and joyfully. So, yes, those are my three words that I chose to describe how the children were playing in the water. You can have any other words that you feel that is more applicable than mine. It doesn't mean that you have to have the same words as me. But for this lesson, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what kind of words you could possibly use. Where are the children playing? Outside, while they are outside. There, or somewhere. Okay? So those three words are telling me where the children could possibly be playing. When are the children playing? Yesterday, now, or today. Those words now give me an indication of the time the children were playing. So as I've now gotten words to describe the kind of playing the children were doing, I now can tell myself that the words that I've chosen are adverbs. So if you've chosen words like mine, you have done a wonderful job, because you've just written down some adverbs. So we are looking at happily, excitedly, joyfully, outside, there, somewhere, yesterday, now, and today. Well done. So, we are going to use our adverbs in a sentence. And again, I've put our picture up over here so that you can have an idea of what we are looking at. The children played in the water. And I've added in the water just to give the sentence a little bit more structure. So, what are we going to use now to make our sentence sound a bit more interesting? Because that is what adverbs and adjectives are used for. They basically give our sentences a little bit more life by telling us where, how, to what extent, to what degree, how often something happens. And we always refer to the action of the sentence, but it can also refer to the adjective of the sentence. So let's look now. Yesterday, I chose to go right in the front of the sentence. So now the sentence will read, yesterday the children played in the water. Right. So when we ask ourselves the question when, it will say yesterday the children played in the water. I added happily because the children look pretty happy playing over there. So yesterday the children played happily in the water. And the last word I used was outside. Yesterday, the children played happily outside in the water. So, and there is my sentence. Yesterday, the children played happily outside in the water. So now my sentence has a bit more life in it. It's basically telling me a bit more about what's happening in the sentence, and I'm able to describe the picture a little bit more accurately. I could add some adjectives in that sentence as well. And then we can have a real descriptive sentence. But that we'll get back to at another stage in another lesson. Identifying adverbs in a sentence. So now we've covered how we would go about finding our adverbs and looking at pictures or actions and seeing how we can describe them. Now we are going to go on to identifying those adverbs in a sentence. Firstly, we are going to find the verb or the adjective in the sentence. So we're going to look for that specific part of speech in the sentence and then see if there's anything telling me more about that word in that sentence. What word describes or tells us more about the verb or the adjective? So I'd obviously have to ask myself a few questions. When we go into the different types of adverb, I'm going to let you know what questions you can perhaps ask when you are trying to find the adverb of a sentence. Once you know that, this will be an adverb. I'm going to leave that on for a few seconds so that you can just get your mind wrapped around how we are going to find our adverbs in a sentence. Right, moving on. In practice, the boys ran quickly to the sports field. That is my sentence. Now, first thing I need to do is I need to look for my verb. Where is my verb? And a verb is a doing word. So let's see which one of these words is a verb. The boys ran quickly to the sports field. My verb will be ran. Very good. Because ran is an action word. It's telling me what action is happening in the sentence. So, what is telling me more about the verb ran? The boys, that is the subject of the sentence, and boys represents the noun. To the sports field, quickly to the sports field. So something over there is telling me more about my verb. Yes, it is quickly. Very good. That is our adverb. Quickly. The boys ran quickly to the sports field. So now we're going to move on to the types of adverbs. There are 5 basic adverb types. Yes, there are others, but today we are only focusing on the 5 basic types of adverb. The first one is an adverb of manner. Adverbs of manner ask how. How did the boy run? How did the children play? When that question is asked and you get an answer like quickly, happily, fast, lovingly, beautifully, we know that it's an adverb of manner. Another way of telling whether it's an adverb of manner or not is by looking at the end of the word, and it usually ends in ly. I say usually grade 5s because sometimes it doesn't end in ly, like the word fast, but most of the time it ends in ly. Adverbs of time. This asks when. So it gives an indication of the time an action took place. For example, now, yesterday, forever, then. We can ask ourselves when we are looking at the sentence. An adverb of degree. This asks to what extent. Adverbs of degree are usually placed before the adjective, adverb, or verb that they modify. So it's usually right in front of the word that they're trying to tell us more about. For example, like the word very. He ran very fast. Fast is also an adverb, and very is now telling me more about the adverb fast. Least, barely, and enough are examples of adverbs of degree. Adverbs of frequency. This asks how often something happens. For example, always, usually, normally, and sometimes. So it basically tells us how often an action takes place. Remember, we are looking at actions or adjectives when we are using adverbs. Adverb of place. This asks where. So, for example, there, nearby, or the one that we've done already, outside. Those are adverbs of place, and they answer the question where. So earlier I've said to you, you can ask questions when you are looking at the sentences and wondering what kind of adverb or where is the adverb in the sentence. If it's an adverb of manner, you ask how. Adverb of time, you ask when. Adverb of degree, you ask to what extent. Adverb of frequency, how often does this happen? And adverb of place asks where. I hope you all understood so far. It's practice time. Underline the adverbs in the following sentences. So we are going to now look at these sentences, and I would like you to just underline, if you've written it down, underline the adverbs in the sentence, or just identify them as you are sitting watching this video. I'm going to give you a few moments to do that. So the first step that we looked at earlier was that we had to find the verb or adjective in the sentence. So let's find our verb in the first sentence. Jamie frantically kicked a huge ball. Jamie frantically kicked a huge ball. So my verb in the sentence is kicked, and I'm going to make a little squiggle under kicked. Okay, so that is our verb, kicked. And now we're going to look at and see if we can find a word that tells us more about the verb kicked. So here we have Jamie. Jamie is a proper noun and it's the name of someone. Okay. Jamie is also the subject of the sentence. So I know that this is not telling me more about my verb. Frantically kicked a huge ball. Okay. Frantically could be the answer, but let's hold on for that for now. And a huge ball. So huge is an adjective. There's nothing really telling me anything more about the how huge the ball is. So I'm going to scratch out a huge and ball. And I'm left with my answer, which is frantically. Okay, so I just showed you now how you can do it when you're sitting in your classroom or at home when you're practicing. This is how you can kind of, by the rule of elimination, try and figure out what the adverb could be. So the next one is Insika excitedly jumped over the high wall. So yeah, I have an adjective over here and I have a verb over here. So let's make a squiggle under the adjective, jumped, and I'm going to make a little box around my adjective, okay? And we're going to see what tells us more about those two words. Insika excitedly jumped over the high wall, and Insika is a proper noun and the subject of the sentence. I'm just going to scratch that out. Over excitedly, okay. Excitedly could be the answer. Let's look at over. Over is a preposition, so we're scratching that out. The definitely can't be the. So we got our answer over here, and it is excitedly. I'm going to give it a tick. Okay, so the other two I'm going to let you figure out on your own, and I'm just going to do number 5 with you. Okay, so yesterday Sam almost shocked himself by the gate. We are looking for our verb, which is shocked, so I'm going to make a little squiggle under it. And yesterday Sam almost shocked himself by the gate. And Sam is my proper noun and also the subject of the sentence. I am going to scratch that out. I'm also going to scratch out gate because we know that's a common noun. And we have yesterday almost himself by the gate. What tells us more about shocked? Almost? I think so. I think almost tells us more about the word shocked. So I'm going to tick that. And himself by the gates, pronoun, and the can't be. So yesterday is familiar because we used yesterday before. So I am positive that yesterday is an adverb. So let's go on now and see if our answers are right. It's answer time. There we go. Wow. Frantically, excitedly, very fearlessly, and almost. But there's one that was not highlighted. Let's see if you can find that. I'll give you a moment. Yep, you've got it. It was yesterday. So, though that is the way you can identify the adverbs in the sentences. Hope you're all marking your answers, or at least thinking in your head, wow, I got that right. Let's recap. So, during this lesson, what did we learn? That adverbs describe a verb or an adjective. They tell us more about these words. They modify them. If you want to find an adverb, look for the verbs or adjectives in the sentence and see if any word is telling you more about that word. For example, how did he run? Where did he run? When did he run? So we've obviously identified our verb first, and now we ask ourselves those questions. And the questions I'm referring to are the ones you ask when you are looking for the different types of adverbs. To what extent? How often? Where? When? How? There are 5 types of adverbs. Adverb of manner, adverb of time, adverb of frequency, adverb of place, and adverb of degree. So those are the 5 types of adverbs. Now I'd like to know, have you met the outcomes of this lesson? Can you understand what an adverb is? Can you identify an adverb in a sentence? Can you use an adverb in a sentence? And lastly, can you identify the different types of adverbs? Those are the 4 outcomes I set out at the beginning of this lesson. And if you have not met these outcomes, please send us an email to tell us that I have not covered something or there was something you did not understand. Remember, again, you can send any questions about this lesson to grade 5 at worksheetcloud.com. An activity is provided for you after this lesson. So to find out if you've actually met the outcomes of this lesson, there is an activity on this website where you have located this video. Please go and download the activity and you can check the answers because the memo will also be provided to you. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson and I hope that you have learned something and you understand the different types of adverbs and how you can use an adverb in a sentence. You have been a great audience, grade 5s, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson.